designed. You got an idea, clarity on all that, right? So one important is when you are dealing with database designs with software, some people haven't designed models. You just submitted general document. I asked you to design models now, database models. Many of you haven't designed models. Who designed models? Diagram. Nobody designed model diagrams. So you have to design those entity diagrams. Only one or two people have done the diagrams. Others you have to prepare, right? And today I will upload one document. In that reference will be there. You check. So, and one more is because you finished up to JavaScript and MongoDB handling database, we have a requirement for mentors in our Nourish Technologies. Mentors for UI technologies. That means we have job guarantee batches in our Nourish Technologies where people do practice. Mentors, what they have to do is what trainer have trained them in class. Those exercises mentors have to manage in the lab for those people. So clarifying the doubts for them, making them do exercises like that. If you are interested, it's an offline, right? So offline people, anybody interested in that mentors, you can contact me after the class, right? We will give a salary through online accounts at 3-4 months. You can work. If you got any opportunity in company, you can go, no problem. And these 3-4 months, we send you the salary through bank account. At the end, we will give the experience letter as a trainee developer so that you can show this in companies. It is good without faking any experience and all, right? So whenever you got opportunity, you can go. But you will get more confidence on subject if you can do this, because you will clarify doubts. You will clarify doubts, and sometimes you must able. You will be trained to take some sessions for people who are doing that UI technology based. If anybody interested in that job, let me know about that. No interview, nothing. You just let me know. I will send you directly to that job. Our HR will talk to you. You can attend from next day onwards. Okay, na? Because already I have seen you, your exercises, what you are doing, right? So if you are interested, we will talk to you, timings and all, then we will put you in that job. Okay, right? After the class, let me know if anybody, right, interested. Next, already what you designed is you designed the database. Some people already designed the database and given the screenshot also, na? Right? So you prepared the database with all the sample data. Now what we have to do, we need to communicate with the database and interact. So now what we are going to do here is, you keep the data ready. That means I will show you the architecture diagram, right? This is the database servers, and our database is ready. This is the database. And here our database is ready. Database is ready. And for that we are using MongoDB. Now how this data can come to users? How user can see the data? How do we access the data? In the front end, what we are doing, in the front end, we are using technologies. What are those? We are using HTML, we are using CSS, JavaScript, we are using CSS, JavaScript, and what? jQuery. In the front end, we are using these technologies, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery. Now the question here is, can these technologies, that means can this HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, can these communicate with the database directly? So any front-end technology in the world cannot communicate with the database. In the back-end database, they cannot communicate. So it's not possible. Even in the front end, you are using Angular or React like technologies, right? They are also not capable of communicating with the database, backend database. So then how to handle the communication? For that, we need here a server-side scripting. For that, we need server-side script. This server-side script is going to communicate with the database, get the data from the database. Along with server-side script, so we need another one is API. We need an API. What this API will do? This API is going to convert the data into the format of XML or JSON. And this data is sent to the client. And the data we access from the client and in that format and send to the API. It will communicate with the database and it will insert, it will update, it will delete everything on the database. So we have client side already technologies ready. Server side, you created the database according to the project. Which project? iShop. Now we need server side script. The server side script is responsible for communicating with the database and the client also. So technically, you need now server side script. We need to know server side scripting. Actually, server side scripting is nothing but, so server side scripting is a technique where scripts are employed on server in order to generate a response customized to every client request. That is server side scripting. That means server side scripting means a script is employed on server. Employed means it is, what is meaning by employed? Employee means, what is the difference between an worker and an employee? What is difference between a worker and employee? No. You think both are same? No. A worker don't have any specific role designation. Employee have designation. Worker don't have any designation. They do all sort of works. But employee means designated to do certain work. Manager, that means he have certain role. Only that work he will do. That is employee, right? So scripts are employed. That means they are kept in the server. For what is the purpose? Whenever client sends a request, they will process that request and they generate a response according to the request. So what is the purpose of server side script? So it is responsible for handling request from the client and generating a response for the request and send the response. That means, so a server side script, a server side script. A server side script handles request from client. It will handle request from client. Process the request, generates a response for request. So, and sends response to client. That is what actually server side script will do. It will handle the request from the client. It will process that request and generates a response for the request and sends the response. These are the works managed by server side script. And there are various server side scripting technologies. There are various server side scripting technologies. Actually, the first server side scripting technology was CGI. CGI is the first server side technology. It started with C language. That means C language is used in server side scripting. C language is used for server side scripting. It was the first server side scripting, CGI. So actually, generally people think C is a language, programming language, but very few people know why C language was designed. Any idea? C language was designed for building an operating system called Unix. To build the Unix operating system, a language was designed. First, its name was BCPL. That is the language. After that, it was named as C. Before that, operating system means you write for a computer, means how software work earlier. You write for a computer, it will run only on that computer. If you want on another computer, you have to write on that computer again. After the language like C, what happened? You can write at one place and run anywhere. This was not there earlier. For example, in India, so Tata used first computer. So in India, they first used the computer. That means at the time, second, third generation of computers they used. When Tata used the first computer, first time in India, then a team from American labs, CERN labs, a team came to India, and they spent almost 1 year in India, and they built a computer here in India, and they made it start working, and they went back. That means computer is not a device which you can purchase, bring and install software and run at that time. If anybody wants a computer, then we assemble the computer because it occupies nearly one room space. Yes, you have seen second, third generation computers, na? Do you have idea? No, right? We have a first generation computer name is actually, we have computers like ENIAC, EDSAC, PDP. After that, PC. Before PC, these were the computers. ENIAC is the first computer. After that, EDSAC is the second computer. After that, PDP generation. After that, PCs. Before PCs, those were there. And if you look at them, actually, ENIAC looks like this. This is ENIAC. This is ENIAC. This is the computer. This is ENIAC. This is the computer. That means it occupies nearly 3-4 rooms space. A computer means. right? And after that, the generation came EDSAC. EDSAC is another computer. This is EDSAC. It was little better. From 3-4 rooms, it became one room. After that, the third generation came PDP, PDP 11, PDP 7. These are the computers. You can see this is PDP. That means a computer came to a corner, like a cupboard. Right after that, PCs, personal computers started. Now, these computers are not the computers that you build and ship to your company. A team should come, they have to assemble that computer, just like constructing a building, and make it assemble, write program also for that. They have to write program on it. It's not like they write a program somewhere in a floppy CD and bring it and put it and run. According to what device they built, they have to write the program for its operating system. So that was very risky. Then what happened? Ken Thompson, Dennis Rich, these people developed a language which can build an operating system, means they can build a server. That server code is in such a way that you write, you copy, and you paste in another computer, it is ready to use. So from there onwards, operating system become portable. Portable means you can keep operating system in a CD or a floppy and give it to your client. He can install it and he can use it. Otherwise, for every computer, they have to separately write operating system. That is the concept of C. So C is a very huge concept behind it. Many people think that C is the first programming language. That is why we are learning. No, C is not first programming. We have a language called BASIC. BASIC is the first programming language. After that, so many came. But C language, why people started learning engineering colleges everywhere, why they put C as a language? Because it is the language that teaches technical people programming skills. Not only that, it is the language which run everywhere. And it is the language, another part is, which is suitable for any kind of applications. That means scientific applications, electrical applications, any kind of applications. This language is the foundation. So that is the reason for any branch of engineering, you see C language is there. Why? Because suppose you are an automobile engineer, so some electrical engineer, something. You also have to use some softwares like CAD systems, Civil engineer also have to use an CAD system. AutoCAD or something like 3D Max and AutoCAD and all these. Those also require programming. Those programming you can handle if you learn any programming. That is the reason even a civil engineer needs computer. He needs programming in that. Little bit programming is required. Why? Because suppose they have to design a building plan. They can't draw like an artist. They have to draw with some accuracy. Accuracy means values. This angle, this direction, these dimensions, scientifically they have to do. For that, they need a language in software. So that is the reason we need various languages. C language first introduced this CGI, which is used for server side. After that, so many came like PHP, like JSP, like ASP and all this. And you have like Node.js, all this. Many people have a different idea. See, generally sometimes people think that Node.js is a server. Node.js is not a server. Node.js can create a server, right? Node.js is a server-side technology, server-side scripting technology. So, but very important here you should know is we are going to see Node.js as a server-side scripting technology because again, to deal with PHP, you need to learn PHP language. To deal with JSP, you need to learn Java language. To deal with ASP, you need a language like VB.NET, VB, or ASP for that C#, like that. It is related to .NET, Microsoft. And to deal with Node.js, nothing. JavaScript is enough. That means that is what we discussed. JavaScript is not a client-side script. JavaScript is used even server-side. So the technologies like Node.js use JavaScript server-side. They use JavaScript server-side. Let's see what are the advantages of that and how to use. So what is server-side scripting? Its responsibility is handle request from the client, process that request, generate a response, and send back the response. That is the responsibility. And for that, actually, we are using Node.js. Node.js. So many server-side scripting technologies are there. We are going to use this Node.js. Now, for that, you need to understand what are the features, advantages of this Node.js. Actually, the first basic thing you should know is Node.js. Node.js is an open source cross-platform. It is an open source cross-platform server-side technology. It is a server-side technology. So used to handle server-side interactions. So it is an open source cross-platform server-side technology used to handle server-side interaction. Client-side interactions we do by using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery. Server-side interactions we do by using Node.js. And one advantage here is Node.js uses JavaScript as language. It uses JavaScript as language. That means server side, we are using JavaScript. So now here some important points are there. And one more important is Node.js. Node.js is built on, so it is built on Google Chrome V8 compiler. So it uses, because JavaScript in HTML, it is interpreted. JavaScript in HTML is interpreted. Interpreted means line by line translation. But JavaScript in Node.js is not interpreted. It is compiled. Compiled means all lines in the program are translated at a time. That is, it is compiled, right? That means for that we need a compiler. And Node.js uses a compiler called V8. It uses Google Chrome's V8 compiler. By using that, it compiles. So it is built with Google Chrome V8 compiler. It is built with. I already told you, if you remembered. Can you name any JavaScript compiler, another compiler? So we discussed another JavaScript compiler like Babel. Remember? I told you interpreter compilers are used for that, right? But Node.js is built on V8. Now, why Node.js? What is the specialty? Remember, if a technology is used in server side, then we need to understand why it is used. Because see, many times you might have seen people telling, this technology is good, this technology is not good, this is more trending, this is not trending, like that. But first thing you should know is, can you tell how a technology is selected for developing app? Suppose, for example, we have some company, like suppose we have like some Wipro. Okay. So now these there is a business. Suppose we have some supermarket. Suppose like Reliance, Reliance Fresh. That is the supermarket. Now these people want an app to maintain the complete supermarket chains across India. They need an application app, and they given that responsibility to Wipro contract to build an app. Now tell me which technology Wipro uses to build this app. .NET, Java, PHP, Python, Node.js. Which technology it uses? Remember, front-end technologies mandatory. They have to use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, React. No chance. There is no other way, right? Those are primary. Among React or Angular, that will be decided. I will tell you. Now, how they choose which backend technology to use? What Wipro people will tell that Java is currently trending. We will develop in Java. That is like silly thing, right? So then how they decide which technology to use? For that, actually, they prepare one table. Before we start building a project, first we prepare a table. That table contains as is, to be, and gap. The table contains these three details: as is, to be, and gap. We prepare this table first. As is means what your technology is capable of. What your technology is capable of. That means what are the limitations of your technology? Because every technology has some gaps. That means every technology don't have every solution. There are certain limits. For example, you are using some Samsung mobile. Now, is everything in Samsung mobile built by Samsung? No. That means they have their limitations. That means the camera used in Samsung mobile doesn't build by Samsung. Right? So that means Samsung, several chips in that Samsung are not built by Samsung. ICs, chips which are used in that, they are not built by Samsung. Then what is Samsung is doing? That means some parts they may be designing and they are assembling all of them and making it as a mobile. Why? You cannot ask like, why Samsung is not building camera? They say that already this is enough for us. Already what business we are doing, that is too much for us. That is enough. We can't involve in every business. It's not possible to manage everything. That's the reason somebody is good in doing the business of camera, lenses. Let him do. Right? We will do this. We will borrow those camera from them. Right? That's what. That means majority all your camera lenses are these days Carl Jesus lens, you know. Majority Carl Jesus lens are the lens used by National Geographic channels and all. That is why they say 40 pixel, 50 pixel, right? But they are not actually 40, 50 megapixel. They are not. They are just bluffing you. Right? Remember, SLRs, DSLR will be there. See, iPhones will be there. They will say our mobile is only 12 pixel. Right? They 12 megapixel. But other phone says 150 pixel, 150 pixel, 850 pixel. But the quality is same. Even better quality is given by those phones. That means the point is the lenses manufactured by different people, we borrow from them and we put them. Here, every technology is having some limitations. Next, to be means what client wants. That means what your technology is capable of and what client wants. So now client wants something which is not possible in our technology. That is called gap. We call that as gap. That means now we will identify here, suppose Java is having 25% gaps, right? And suppose PHP having 5% gaps. Suppose .NET is having 15% gap. Some Node.js is having some 8% gaps, like that. Now our company prefers using PHP. That means we prefer using PHP. That means according to client requirements, 95% is available in our PHP. Only 5% is gap. Then we will use the technology which have less gaps. Always we use. That's the reason you observe, suppose you opened one website, like we have suppose some Inox movies. When I open this Inox movies website, so this website I will select here movie, some time, date, and all these. I selected something. You see, this is designed in some technology. Yeah, you can see it is designed in ASPX, means .NET. It is designed in ASPX, means ASPX, ASP, these belong to Microsoft .NET. ASPX means it is designed in .NET as a backend technology. Suppose you open some IRCTC websites. So you open some IRCTC token system, something else. Actually, this IRCTC is designed in PHP. They are designed in PHP. You select some details, and so every technology you can't see in the URL, right? So you can see some are PHP, some are JSP, some are ASP. You cannot ask like why all are using. That means why they are using .NET, why they are using Java, why they are using PHP. If one technology is trending and it is great, then everybody knows it, and everybody have to use same technology. Then why different? Because that depends on gaps. So now the question here is how to fill that 5% gaps. Then 95% it will satisfy. What about rest of 5%? Already we know. For that, what we do, we take help of third parties. So we take help of third party, like I told you, remember Telerik, like Dev Express, like you have seen jQuery UI, Bootstrap is also a third party, right? That means what we do, we use them and we fill the gaps. Suppose you are building a supermarket app, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, they don't have a barcode reader. Already we saw now. We learned JavaScript. In JavaScript, there is no concept of barcode. Then what we done? In jQuery also, there is no barcode methods. Then what we done? We imported a third-party library that provides one method. By using that method, we generated a barcode. That method is not inbuilt available in jQuery. We have to borrow from third party. Like that, these are all third parties. By using these third parties, we have to fill the gaps, right? These are all the third parties. You see, Telerik is a third party. This is Telerik is a third party. Telerik is a third party. And you look at the Telerik here, you can see these are the customers of Telerik. NASA is customer of Telerik. That means they provide software support like NASA like people. You may ask, like, NASA is space agency, highly qualified technology technicians are there. Why can't they build their own software? Right? That means highly professional, world top intelligent people are present in NASA. Then why can't build their software? Why they have to build? They are already busy in their space research. Time waste. That work they will give to somebody. They say that you build it. Understood? That means the point here is, see, Microsoft is a customer of Telerik. Microsoft itself have a lot of softwares. And you are saying that they are borrowing software from these people. Right? That means they don't want to involve in that. So that's the reason these kind of third parties are important. So when you go to software companies, so many times, especially for various technologies, they will ask what third parties you know. Any idea on third parties? Because based on your technology, because every technology uses certain third parties. Based on that, they will ask what third parties you know, what plugins you have used. And they will say that in our company, we are using this third party. Do you have any idea on this? Previously, have you worked on it? If not, then you have to explore by yourself and know about it. And you have to implement. So, why a technology is chosen, that depends on what? That depends on its abilities and the gaps. Abilities and the gaps. Now, what is the abilities of Node.js? That means what kind of people choose Node.js? What is the speciality of Node.js? That means everybody don't want Node.js, but some people want Node.js. So what kind of people need Node.js? What is the speciality of Node.js? First important is Node.js, it is JavaScript based. JavaScript based. So that is a simple point. That means you don't need any new language. So simply by using JavaScript, you can manage server-side scripting. You don't need any extra language to learn. Another important is it is asynchronous. Asynchronous. It is asynchronous. Asynchronous means it will not block the tasks. Already I explained the point, right? Asynchronous means along with other tasks, it can perform your task. That means it will not block the tasks. That allows you to easily manage your task without blocking other tasks. So another point is it is modular. Modular means only what is necessary for your application, it will load that. So that means generally, other than modular, generally we call legacy. Actually, legacy means, you see, generally here, let's put a point here. We see we used bootstrap. Bootstrap.min. Or bootstrap.bundle. Bootstrap.bundle.js. We used bootstrap bundle. Na? In bootstrap, we used bundle. Actually, in this bundle, suppose some 16,000 lines code is there. In that you have code for alerts, code for model, code for carousels, right? Code for nav bars, code for drop downs, all code is present here. Now what you are doing is you are designing a page. In this page, you are using a model and we are using carousel. Am I right? And for that, you are importing this file in the page. Why? To handle simple two tasks, why you are uploading this lengthy program? It is burden to application. Why you are unnecessarily loading alerts, unnecessarily loading nav bar, unnecessarily loading drop down code? That is burden to server. If you are using alerts, you are using model, put only the code necessary for model. But we were not doing that. We are including one file, bundle.js. And this is called legacy. Legacy means the complete library is loaded even to handle a small task. Modular means only the library that is required for that situation will be loaded. That is called modular. For example, actually in Bootstrap also it is there, but we haven't used it. See, this is Visual Studio, and let's open the project. Suppose we are using the project, some project, and in this project, observe here, we have Bootstrap, we have node modules, Bootstrap. In that JS, in that dist, you can see here for every element, there is a separate JS file. Am I right? That means for alert, separate JS, button, separate JS, carousel, separate JS. So if you are using import only carousel, that is better, na? But actually, while we are practicing, we are trying to practice many things in one place. That is the reason, to make it simple, we included one file, but that is not good. Another problem is there. Another problem is if you include many files, again, what will happen? Requests will increase. If requests increase, page load time will increase. That is another problem is there. But why they given separate files then? They given separate files because they want you that if you are dealing with only certain things, put only them, so that it will reduce the burden on server. So Node.js is like that. Modular means so application specific library. Application specific library. What an application needs, only that library is used. Library. So it is lightweight, and it is faster. It is lightweight and faster. Because if only the library which is necessary for that application is loaded, then obviously it will be lightweight. Applications are lightweight, applications are faster. Another one, Node.js, it is single-threaded. This is one drawback and advantage also. In one way, it is advantage, another way, it is a drawback. Single-threaded because all technologies are multi-threaded. Java, .NET, all these are multi-threaded. But Node.js is single-threaded. Single-threaded in a one way good, but in another way it is not great. For example, single-threaded means, I will tell you here, see, suppose we have some clients. What is the concept of single-threaded? I will give here. So we have some clients, 1, 2, 3, 4 clients are there. Now, generally, what happens? These all clients have to access, they have to access some resource. This is server. This is server. On server, we have some resource. On server, we have some content resource. On server, we have some resource. These clients must have to access the resource. Then what happens is, when first client makes a request, now what server will do is, it will maintain an object It will maintain an object for that client. Through that object, it will give access. Through that object, it will give access to the resource. That is how it will do. If second client wants the same object, then what it will do? It is going to create another object. It is going to create another object. Through that, it will give access. For every client, it creates an object. Then if number of clients are increasing, then number of objects are increasing, memory overloaded. And if clients are not closing, then at certain stage, our application cannot provide service to new people. Understood? That is the reason, if you remembered, I told you that school, college like apps, online exams and all. So once 100,000 people are writing at a time exam, some difficulty starts. Problems will start. Some newcomer is trying to open and write exam. Then it says, please wait. So somebody need to close. Then you will enter into it. These kind of overheads will come. So this is the problem with what kind of technique? Multi-threaded. Node.js is single-threaded. Single-threaded means what happens is it will create an object for the first client. It will create an object for the first client and it will use the same object for others. It will use the same object for others. Through that, it will give access. This is good. It will reduce the memory overheads and it will allow. But in one way, this is bad. Because here, if all people are accessing that resource, that is good. But all people have to interact with that resource. Interact means adding, removing, deleting, updating, so many activities they are doing on that resource. That object is unable to handle. If everybody have to handle lot of interactions on that particular resource, then better to provide them a separate object. Provide them a separate object. All are interacting, then issues will come. Now see, the best example is single-threaded means YouTube is completely designed in Node.js. It is completely designed in Node.js. Netflix is designed in Node.js. Backend. Right? Amazon is designed in, not Amazon, Amazon Prime Video, that is designed in Node.js, not Amazon Shopping, right? And all majority OTT platforms are using Node.js. That means everywhere in OTT world, it is Node.js only. Now the question here is, now what is the point here? Netflix. Now, according to the concept I told you, millions of people are using Netflix at a time now. Then how does it create a problem? But what all these billions of people are doing on Netflix, they are just watching that video, right? What they are doing, any interaction with that video? Nothing. Then we need just only buffer the video to them, broadcast, right? They will not be interacting with the video. They will turn on off subtitles. They will select some language description before they start the video. That means all million people are not interacting with it. They are just buffering it, watching it. In that case, one thread is enough. Single-threaded environment is enough. That is the reason Node.js is very popular in building these kind of apps. But it is not great. Suppose like shopping. Millions people are not just watching the product, they are doing a lot of interaction, adding items to product cart, they are filtering, they are searching, they are doing payments. Then Node.js cannot handle easily. That is the reason for such kind of applications Node.js is not good. That means you can say ERP like softwares, enterprise resource planning, commercially, for such things it is not good. Audio buffering, video buffering, audio buffering also, all are Node.js. You see Spotify, Savan, all these are Node.js. So they are built with Node.js. So that is technically advantage of Node.js, but it has some drawback also. So being a single threaded is an advantage as well as it is an drawback. That's the reason if you are building any application like that, then Node.js is good. Node.js is good. Otherwise, other technologies, right? Like which supports multi-threads. Like again, using multi-threading is a big problem. That's the reason all technologies are now implementing parallel programming. We call parallel programming asynchronous programming. They are implementing such type of programming. Right? Anyhow, that is one advantage. Another point is so it will not use buffering. It will not use buffering. That means no buffering. Buffering is not there. Buffering will not be there. That means I will tell you a simple example. I don't know from how many days you are using YouTube, but when YouTube came in the beginning days, it was not Node.js. YouTube was not in Node.js. Node.js, they started very few years back. I don't know, you know YouTube or not, 8-10 years back. You know YouTube 7-8 years back. If you know YouTube 8-7 years back, 7-8, it's almost 6-7 years back. So 6-7 years back, when we are watching YouTube, suppose 1 hour video is there and I need to watch that 1 hour video. Then what we do is we start the video. After that, we pause. When you pause the video, it will buffer the rest of 1 hour video. Understood? It will buffer the rest of 1 hour video. After it buffering is finished, that means I will go out, pause it, go out and come back. By the time I come back, complete buffered. Then you don't need internet connection. Disconnect, you can watch the video. You know, right? Have you gone through that? Earlier, YouTube was like that. Not only YouTube, online movies, websites also, so many in that same way. Even they officially say that if video is buffering, please pause for some time and play again. Understood? Right? That means the point here is the complete video is buffered. For that, lot of memory is utilized because they have to buffer. Buffering means storing all that video into temporary memory. From there, they have to deliver you. That requires lot of burden, lot of memory. Now they removed it. There is no more buffering because they are using Node.js. Node.js will not buffer. What you do is you pause the video, it will pause their own. It will not buffer rest of the video. So when you play, then what will happen? It will start connecting and getting the fresh information. You cannot pause and buffer the complete video now. Earlier it was possible. Not only that, observe carefully. No more buffering advantage is few years back when you are watching any video, YouTube or anywhere. So if your internet connection suddenly slow down, then it's buffering, right? It stops the video and buffers. Now observe carefully. If internet connection is slow, it will change the quality of video. I hope you know that, right? Netflix, Amazon Prime and all OTTs, they don't stop your video. They change the quality. That means if your connection is more slow, that means it even can't get the low quality buffer, then it will stop. Otherwise it will never stop. Earlier, if certain bytes are not received, it is going to stop, but now it is going to change. So from high quality to the medium or low quality. So that is the concept. There is no buffering in Node.js. Actually, data is received. Data is received in the form of packets. Data is received in the form of packets. So we call them as memory bits. It will receive in the form of memory bits packet. At one packet, one time, one packet and time. That packet contains some bytes. That bytes of information you can watch. By the time you are watching, another packet is received. That means you can watch the next part like that. That is how the data comes. No more buffering. So asynchronous, modular, single threaded, no buffering. These are all the advantages of Node.js. But for what kind of applications it is good? It is good for audio video buffering applications, or applications which need only certain few interactions on resource, right? So that means it is not good. So it is not good for ERP, enterprise resource planning. You can build, but it is not good for that. And if lot of interactions are happening, then it is not great, right? So for such apps, we don't go with the Node.js, right? This is the basic, means how the Node.js, what are the features of Node.js. How to use Node.js, we will see now. Setting up, nothing. Already Node.js is installed in your computer, because the first day to start NPM, we installed Node.js. So Node.js is already working in your computer. You don't need to install or do anything. So, but how the Node.js works, I will show you here. That means actually not compulsory, but for freshers, they have to know. That is the reason I am telling. Actually, Node have Node REPL. REPL terminal will be there. It is not necessary. But traditionally in interviews for freshers, they ask. That's the reason you have to just keep this in mind. Node REPL is nothing but it is just like JavaScript console. That means we have JavaScript console. JavaScript console means, suppose this is browser. In browser, you can go to inspect. There will be a console. So in that inspect, there will be a console. In the console, it is showing some messages actually. These are all nothing but related to the current page which opened. Some messages are there. Actually, what we can do is, suppose you opened a website, empty console will be there. Suppose this is empty console. In the empty console, what you can do is here, that is actually terminal. This is the terminal actually. Here you can test all your JavaScript. All your JavaScript. If anything you are implementing in JavaScript, before really implementing, you can test here. For example, I entered, so alert is hello, and hit enter. It will show that and display. That means you can directly test your JavaScript in this console. That means, so where x equal to 10. So then where some y is equal to 20. So, and here where z is equal to x plus y, like this. And here we are using some console.log, or say we can say alert what z, and it will print that 30. We can all test the programs here. Before really going to implement any method, any program, we can test it here first. This is no need to teach this. Why? Because so already we know in a page we can just put a script element and we can test all that, right? So but developers have an habit of testing a lot of their functions and methods here. This is called terminal. Like that, Node.js also have a terminal. That node terminal is called as what? REPL. That node terminal is called as REPL. That is called as REPL. We have a REPL terminal. How to open the REPL terminal? Simply in command prompt, we have to type node. That's it. You have to just type node. The REPL terminal will come. So here what you can do, you can run the commands. R is for read. E for so evaluate. So and P for print. So we say L for loop. Of course, you can do all the things. That means it is a terminal used for testing this. If you want to test read operation, you want to test expression evaluation, you want to test printing, you want to test looping, you can test in this terminal, but not required, because so we can directly write a program and we can test there. But how to do? Open the command and here we can use node, type and enter. A terminal will come here. You can see node terminal will come. It is showing welcome to Node.js version 18 and this is the terminal. Here you can test Node.js just like JavaScript commands. Node.js uses JavaScript only. That means suppose var x equal to 10, var y is equal to 20, var z is equal to x plus y. And we have console.log. So what is it? Z. Then it will print that 30. Right? All these things we can test here. Same like console. But no need of using it. So Control C to terminate. Right? And no need of using this. Right? Not necessary at all. But just you need to know. Because for freshers, they ask, where do you test node commands before really implementing them? Then we say that we can test them in REPL terminal, right? For that we can do. So that means like I will give an example here. So var x 10. So we have like var y 20. So we have like var z is equal to x plus y. So and say console.log some z is equal to plus z. That's it. We have to define. Right? We can loop means we can write a loop for, we can write the statement. If you are writing multi-line statement, what happens is it will put dot, right? And it will continue your multi-line statement until you end that statement. It will continue until you end the statement. It will continue multiple lines. It will write like dot. These are all just for testing the methods. You don't need to really use the REPL command and all, right? Then how do we write Node.js programs? How do we write Node.js programs? It's also very simple, nothing complex actually. Node.js server-side programs are written in a JavaScript file. They are written in a JavaScript file. That means it will have an extension what .js. That's it. We write the Node.js programs in a separate JavaScript file. Remember, Node.js is not integrated in HTML. Node.js here we are using as server-side programming. Server-side programming means in a Node.js program, you cannot use DOM manipulations. You cannot use DOM manipulations. That means JavaScript is used only as language, not for DOM. Only as language, not for DOM. That means only as language means you can use variables, you can use data types, you can use operators, you can use statements, you can use functions, you can use oops, classes, methods, properties, accessors, constructors. But you cannot use document.write, alert, you cannot use, right? You cannot use get element by id, tag name, class name. They are not related to node, they are related to HTML. That means actually you learned JavaScript DOM manipulations which are related to HTML. So that means you cannot use any method related to browser objects. What are browser objects? We have window, we have location, we have navigator, we have history, we have another, what is it, document. We learned these objects now. You can't write anything related to them. Only JavaScript is used as a language. That means you can use console.log as output. Understood? You can use console.log as output. You cannot use alert or document.write like that. Only console methods you can use. Better to say console log, in the bracket other console methods like error, debug. Console is not only just log, right? Console error, console warn, console debug, so many are there. So these are the options we can do. Now important here, this is very confusion and lot of doubts here, like Node.js is using JavaScript as a language. Jan, what is there in Node.js to learn? Already we know statements, operators, functions. Then what to learn in Node.js? Already it is using JavaScript and we know everything JavaScript. Then what I have to learn in Node.js now? Suppose JSP is a server-side technology which is using Java. If it is using Java, already you learned Java, then what is there in JSP to learn? Actually, learning a server-side technology. So here, this is very important. We call them as server-side objects. That means learning JavaScript with HTML is browser objects. Everything is related to browser objects. Window object, document object. Server-side is server-side objects. That means learning a server-side technology is to learn about the server-side objects. How to handle them? What are server-side objects? We have server-side object like request object. We have like response object. So we have like session object. So we have like cookie object, cookie. So we have like application object. Remember, I am just giving the name. It doesn't mean that these all will be there in every server side. The primary objects are there. Others we need to borrow from other technologies, third parties, and implement if it is not available. So we have request, we have response, we have sessions, we have cookies, we have applications. These all comes under the category of server objects. In Node.js, you have different. Some objects are common and some objects are different. Like in Node.js, you have an OS object. So in Node.js, you have an memory object. memory object. Here we have a path object. Path object. Here we are having an HTTP object. HTTP object. So that means Node.js it is having an FS object, file stream FS. That means every server-side technology is about handling different objects. Learning a server-side technology is not language. That is the reason it is wrong if anybody says I am learning server-side language. Server-side scripting language. Sometimes people tell like that. There is no server-side scripting language. Server-side scripting is a technique. And for that technique, we use a language. If anybody say Java is a server-side scripting language, .NET is a server-side scripting language, it's wrong. Node.js is a server-side scripting language, wrong. Because these are all server-side technologies. These are all server-side technologies. Server-side technologies. So server-side technologies use server-side some languages. And those languages will teach you how to handle server-side objects. What a server-side technology provides? It provides a library which contains some server-side objects. By using those objects, we manage. But how to handle those objects with the help of a language? Right? Which language we are using here? JavaScript. Right? And these objects are simple. Some their names it will tell. What is the role of request object? Suppose you learned what is the role of window object. Window object provides set of properties and methods that are used to control browser window, like open window, close window. So all such activities are done by window object. Similarly, here request object, it provides a set of properties and methods that are used to request data from client. That means on his computer, he has some data and server wants the data. If server wants any data from client, it can access that by using which object? Request. So server uses a request object to get information from the client. Where the information is present? Client. In client, information may be in query string, information may be in cookies, information may be in local storage. What server can do? Can use a request object. Through that, it can access the cookie. I told you already, cookie is present where? In client computer. Am I right? In client computer, cookie is present. We created a cookie. Where it is saved? In the client browser. How server gets information from that cookie and verifies that user is available in the database or not? In cookie, user ID is stored. We stored user ID in cookie. How server gets that user ID? It is stored client side in a cookie. How server gets that information? With the help of request object. With the help of request object, it gets the information that is present in a cookie on client computer. For that, which object is used? Request. What is the purpose of response object? What is the purpose of response object? It sends response to the client. Getting information from client is request. Sending information to client is response. Can you tell me what kind of information server sends? Server can send HTML as a response. Means a presentation. Server can send file as a response, a PDF file, a JPG file. It can send a file as a response. Server can send JSON as a response. Already you saw in API. You are requesting some URL. What it is sending? Data in the form of what? JSON. Server can send XML as a response, JSON as a response, file as a response, HTML as response. That means whatever is present on server, it can send to client. That responsibility is taken by whom? Response object. That is request response. Sessions, cookies. Sessions are nothing but storing the data, making the data available from one session to another session. For that, we need a lot of third parties and others. We have cookies, we have application, we have OS. We will see some of these objects which are available in Node.js, how to handle them and how do we work with them, right? But how to do that, one more point here is, so you can import the relative library. You can import the relative library. So implement the functionality. Implement the functionality and execute. So execute. And actually to execute, you need, so Node.js uses, so V8 compiler. It uses V8 compiler. So to execute its code, so what we have to do, we have to run in the terminal by using node compiler, node space index.js. It will compile your code and it will execute the code. That means generally JavaScript files, how we were executing earlier, we are integrating in HTML page, but JavaScript files can individually run now. Without integrating into HTML page, JavaScript programs can directly run by using which compiler? Node compiler. So what we will do here, see, I am going to our project. In this project, what we are doing in this project, so in this project, we are adding a new folder. I will give the folder name server. Okay. We will put the server side code here. So we will add a new file. What is the file name? Index.js. So index.js. Now in this index.js, you can write anything, but don't write any DOM methods. So temporarily I will put var. So username is equal to some John, something like this. And we will put no alerts, nothing. Here we have to use only console.log. So here we say hello. And here we are using username and welcome to Node.js. Like this we return. Now how to compile this? So we have to open this program in terminal. Right click, open with integrated terminal. Open with integrated terminal, it will open in terminal. Make sure that you open this terminal in command prompt. Here we have to run the command. What is the command to run? Here we have to use node index.js. It will compile and it will show the output. That is how the server side programs will run. Now here we just written a simple sample general JavaScript, but here we have to learn server side objects. What are Node.js server side objects and how to use those objects? We will see. That we'll see in next session. Tomorrow we will do that. Now tomorrow, if you know these objects, then you will learn how to communicate with database. How Node.js communicates with the database, that we are going to learn, right? That we'll see in next session. Tomorrow we'll do that. Okay, right.